Around the world and across Nigeria. If you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Morning and reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's have our conversation. Former Niger Delta militant leader Mujahid Asari Dokubo has issued a strong warning to Nigeria's Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom, Wike, saying he must abandon any plans to remove Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara.
Appearing on Arise TV's morning show, Asari Dokubo cautioned that any attempt to oust Fubara could lead to serious consequences.
Asari Dokubo expressed a disappointment with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's suggesting that the president is supporting Wike's action, which he claims are destabilizing Rivers State.
Okay, the former warlord accused Wike of using his influence to procure judgments against Fubara to create instability in the state. He emphasized his role as a stakeholder in Rivers State and voiced concerns over what he perceives as interference in state matters, stressing that any move to remove Fubara would not go unchallenged.
Asari Dokubo's statement underscored rising political tensions in Rivers State, with former allies now openly disagreeing on governance issues under Tinubu's administration. Question is, how much tension is enough tension before the tide turns? With also joining us virtually is Dr. Ambrose Ibuki. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning, Dr. Ambrose.
Good morning.
Thank you.
It's good to be here.
Thank you so very much for your time.
Okay, Dr. Ambrose, let's kick off immediately. Now, given the history of Asari Dokubo, can we say what security risk could these put up for Fubara? What security risk?
I can hear you very well.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear now.
Okay, given Asari Dokubo's history, what security risk could arise if the tension about Fubara's removal is instigated?
Well, when we talk of news, news is the oddity about it. When you do my when you hear about news, you say the odd things make news. That the dog beats a man is not a news, but that a man bites a dog is news. So when you have things are usually abnormal, and then you think I think that is why Rise TV had to take in Dokubo to make such statement. Dokubo has been known to make inflammatory statements as usual, and one thing with him is I must give it to him that he has guts. I mean, he said the way he wants to say without any fear of anybody, and he has been doing it over the years.
Okay, I think we're still having a bit of a challenge from his ends, but of course it still boils down to issue of Dokubo, and Dr. Ambrose talked about the goat from Asari Dokubo, but my question still remains, how much of a goat is too much of it? Because it seems like he is increasingly walking away from some of these things when they happen.
It's not as though he's increasingly walking away. I think, should I say, it's a talk that was set up, and it's the talk that is now actually bringing or questioning those who actually set him up.
Okay, so you mean he's
been... You want to...
Okay, I think we're still having here.
Governor, if you think you want to remove the governor, or you want to, you can only do that for 6 months. After 6 months, he's back. So if you declare a state of emergency in Rivers, it only lasts for 6 months. So why even cause that problem? Because Rivers State is not just any state. It was not like the state or the Plateau State that happened before. Rivers State is very critical to Nigeria's socio-economic and socio-political landscape. When you talk of states, after Lagos, Kano, the next you'll be thinking is about Rivers State. So it plays a serious economic role, and it plays a very serious political role. I think Wike should just allow things to be. He cannot be in Abuja controlling rivers. That has been made clear. And also, you should go back and study the history of godfatherism and their godsons in Nigeria. The governor is, in fact, one of the videos that came out some time ago also shows Wike saying that the governor of any state is not a small boy. It was Wike that he was saying this, that the governor has absolute power to do things. and that no governor should be regarded as a small boy. So I don't understand a few months later why he's trying to regard one governor of his own home state as a small boy. So the governor is the most powerful person after the president in the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has immunity, he has state powers, he has so much at his disposal, and that and not a state like Rivers State. So I will assume that the president should make things happen and make sure that there is peace, and that Wike should focus on his work as FCT minister. Although we may still have his ground base, but his ground base should not be the one that is disruptive of the activities of the government. I mean, the River State is fit for everybody to be able to fetch.
Yeah, very true. I wanted to ask. You talked about the gods of Asari, Dokubo. I was actually having a chat with my co-host here, and I wanted to know how much of that is too much, because it seemed to us like Asari, goes away, walks away. Sometimes when he says some of these inflammatory, statements in the open.
Nigeria being a state, the way the emergence of Asari Dokubo automatic government, Pomologo, Boilo, all those militant leaders those days. We knew how a lot of them came up. They came up through acts of fearlessness because they came up with actions that they felt that their place was being deprived of development, was being exploited, the Niger Delta area, and that the Nigerian government was not, giving interest to the area. That what was supposed to come to them was not coming to them, and that their territory was being pillaged. And because of that, they organized themselves into the resistance, and that's how they came into resistance. And we should know that people like that came into armed resistance like that are very bold and fearless people. I mean, these are people that are sacrificed that anything can happen. They are not afraid of death. So they are not afraid of speaking their minds, and that is it. But also, there's a thin line between speaking your mind and committing acts of sedition or acts of incitement. But that so far has not happened. It is a Nigerian state that will say that whether he has crossed the line or not, and it is a Nigerian state that will be able to say what will be prosecuted if he has spoken the wrong thing. But for now, I think he has not crossed the line, and I think you see the statements of politics. Statements of deterrence, saying that, if you bring your own people, we have our own people to counter you. And all these are political statements he made every day. Just because it's coming from Asari Dokubo does not make it different. It's just that he's not a politician saying it. But politicians say this kind of statements every day. It doesn't happen. So it's about we have people to resist whatever you are bringing in and all those things. And we have seen that displayed out in River State a lot. And we also know the politics of Ikwere and the politics of Ijo in River State and all the riverine people. I think since 1999, people from the riverine area have not produced the governor. From the Ijo side and that side have not really produced the governor. It has been the Ikwere side, from I think Victor Dele to Rotimi Amici to Nyesom,
Okay.
and then, so this is the first time that people from that Ijo side are producing a governor. So naturally, they take cleavage. Asari have to be, vehemently, vociferous in trying to say he's defending his kinsman and making sure that the threat of Wike is being at least challenged, not contained.
Thank you so much. Now, let's look at the power dynamics now between the federal authorities and the state leadership in Nigeria, using the situation that is happening as a case study. What do you have to say about the power dynamics here?
The power dynamics in Nigeria is, we are still learning. We are still in a very, very crude state of power dynamics. We are still using very raw force. We are not refined yet. In fact, we are more refined in the First Republic, where we had erudite people that were marshalling out with serious Queen's English, people like Tafawa Balewa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello, people like Ajawa Chukwu, your people who are the KO party, Man of Timber and Caliban, people who were really, who were Ciceros, who were erudite people who were, marshalling out their points during the election. We saw a little bit of that in 1979, but after the First and Second Republic, things went on there, and then what we're now having the average guys coming to talk to us. So the power dynamics have not really improved in Nigeria. We are still raw. We are still talking about ethnicity. We are still talking about religion. We are still talking about clannishness. We are not even talking about things that border basically on the welfare of the citizens. We are not talking about seriously about economics. Most of the elections we have are not accord on economic policies. We still appoint ministers and send them to the House of to the Senate and House of Representatives for confirmation without attaching portfolios. So we see the president or the governors give out ministerial posts or board appointments or contracts as favors or at even their own discretion. So we are seeing at the baseline. Unfortunately, this is how politics plays out. It's just our own is the crudest form. You can see what is happening in the United States of America, even when elections are just a few days ago. You can still see that the issues of ethnicity, the issues of race, the issues of religion, these are the things playing out. Even in America with 200 and over 200 years of democracy. How much more us who are just 4 years of democracy? So I think it is human nature coming to play. And what is taming Americans and in Europe is that structure. They have very strong establishment, very strong democratic structures and the institutions. Unfortunately for us, we don't have that. And that is why our own is still wobbling so much. So in America, even when the politicians wobble, the institutions are there as shock absorbers, making sure it's a strong system. But in Nigeria, because we don't have the system, when individual politicians wobble, then we all of us fall flat. And that's what we think we are seeing now. Where the president keeps mum, or because of his affiliation to Wike, or because Wike is a minister in his cabinet, or when nothing is said. When we now saw the chief justice, asking asking the judges to see, somebody Falana, Mr. Femi Falana challenged the case why Rivers cases are being held in Abuja and all those things. We are seeing the chief justice wanting them, some of the judges to come because of kind of judgments they give and the rest. So everybody is soaked in. And there is both the judiciary, the legislature, and then the executive. And we must find a very proactive way to find this, because we must say that the activities of Operation Wet here in the night that was started by the 1964 Western Regional Election was what led to the coup, what led to the civil war, and what led to Nigeria with plenty scars that today we are still suffering from the wounds of those scars. We must not allow those kind of things to happen, because these things start small and they start, they become a conflagration. We must not allow that to work, to rear its ugly head. Our democracy must work. We have done 25 years so far, and we have not, we are not run down. So we are looking forward to doing just like America that have done. This was 1776. That is almost 250 years. So we can do it as well. It's just that we learn, just like the United States did it. As they were learning, they were improving, they were correcting. But my fear is that we are not even learning. So it's time to sit down and learn and start correcting this issue, so that we can grow and become a very strong democracy.
Okay.
Yes, very, very true. I truly do, work with your submission. But speaking about structure, just like you say, a stability in the system, growing and learning, it's obvious we can't do all of this when our electoral system is still, flawed in some way or another. I truly do agree. The Supreme Court has said Fubara is the rightful governor of Rivers State. But prior to the election, Doctor, we all saw how things went down. The opposition said there literally was no election in Rivers State, that Fubara was just stage managed as the governor of Rivers State. Do you think this is what goes around coming around to hurt everyone that was involved in it?
Well, in Nigerian politics, the opposition never concedes defeat. I mean, it's a culture, it's a tradition that it's hardly difficult for the opposition to concede defeat.
But do you believe there was a rightful election in Rivers State prior? Do you think the election that brought in Fubara was good enough to be called a wonderful election?
So who are you or who am I to say that when the Electoral Commission said it was when the Supreme Court has said We don't have any facts, and we cannot just be talking here on hearsay and permutations. So people who have the facts, people who conducted the election, SCPs, submissions, witnesses, were all of them were examined at these various courts. And then the Supreme Court of the land has declared that it's rightful. And you're asking me, how am I supposed to answer that? So what the Supreme Court says is the final, and there is the final arbiter, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Yes, because
So
the reason, yes, doctor, the reason I'm actually asking this question and getting concerned is the statement from Nyesom Wike, who has constantly said that Fubara, he called him a snake, that he knew how he brought him into power. And some of his stooges have equally said that they know how Fubara came into power. So that's the reason I'm asking this question. So do you think this is a situation of what goes around or coming around?
where was Wike and these stooges when the cases were at the tribunal? So why did they come up with why did they come up as witnesses? Why did they come up as bring their exhibits? The case went to tribunal. It went to the appeal court. It went to the Supreme Court, and they didn't see. So as far as I'm concerned, those are beer parlor thoughts, please.
Okay, I think Barrister Evans Ofeli just joined us. Good morning, Barrister Evans.
Let's see.
Okay, I think we lost him there. Barrister Evans. Okay. Moving on now, let's move to the future scenarios. Considering the current political climate, what are the possible future scenarios for governance in Rivers State, especially if Fubara remains in power or is removed? What will definitely be the future scenario for Rivers State?
I don't think any governor with his right senses will allow himself to be a captive, no matter the situation. I don't see any governor that will have almost 85 to 90% of the House of Assembly being hostile against him. I don't think any governor will want to have almost all his ministers, all his cabinet appointed by somebody else. I don't think any minister will want even your critical positions appointed by somebody else. And that was the extremity that happened in Rivers State. When I think both sides should come to a middle ground. Let the governor be. The Supreme Court has said it's the governor. The House of Assembly members, what has happened, let them now come back to see how they can reconcile and not make it look as if, oh, I am against the governor and you want to be there. These are political battles of survival for individuals, for the politicians. I'm sorry to say, it has nothing to do with the people of Rivers State, basically. So they will not paint it as a color for Rivers State, but it's a battle of survival. And the governor, being a politician, being a man and a woman, will not allow himself to be conquered. So there has to be a compromise from both Governor Wike, former Governor Wike, and the present governor. So, and in such a way that they can allow the governor be in control, because the problem now is about control. No governor, what is on us, will allow himself not to be in control. So if you're not in control, then the buck stops at your table. Your name was in the ballot box, not the person who is pulling the strings behind you. If there are questions or queries, it is you that the people know. So when you take you are a historical figure, and what will the future say about you? So what will the history judge you? The history will not judge you by somebody who is pushing buttons behind you or controlling you from behind. It will judge you by your actions. And if you say the actions are not yours, then nobody's going to take you seriously. Therefore, let the governor of the state be his chief executive, as they have said. He's the chief executive. The buck stops on the table. Unlike the blue chip companies that are run by board of directors that can sack the MD. This one, the board of directors are the citizens, the electorates. They are the ones that have the power to say, okay, we are not coming back again. We are not going to vote for you again. So, unfortunately, when you have House of Assembly members who are now saying that against the governor, they are openly siding with somebody, then the fight will continue. But if we say, okay, let's not forget the political differences. Let's come back and see how we can join hands to make Rivers State a home for all, and then put it in one prosperous path as it has been. Then they can start working together. But as of now, if everybody, one side is saying, the governor says he can't do anything, we put him there, this and that, and the governor is saying, okay, I will show you I'm the governor. There, no, but nothing happens there. So from now, I am not seeing any agreement until they both shift ground. Ground they must shift. But for now, whether we like it or not, the governor has the upper hand.
All right. Just before we close home, I think it's very important that we say this. You spoke about the board of directors, of course, which are the River State people, the electorate. Before now, there used to be a seamless relationship between everyone in River State. But with this issue at hand right now, there's more fragmentation in the state between the Ikweres and the Ijaws. So do you think this would continue the way you look at it going on forward?
Oh, the Queries and the Jaws have always lived together. Well, since a very long time, over 100 years. The Queries are the people speaking part of River State. Remember that those days, when it was Eastern region, the whole of from Enugu to Calabar, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, Bayelsa, and part of Delta states were all part of the Eastern region. So they are always lived there. They just became. You remember that the Jaws are not only in River State. The Jaws are in Bayelsa, they are in Delta, they are in those states, and there are some quite a number of, I think, 5 states in Nigeria. The same thing with Igbos. The Igbos are not only, although the Query man will want to deny his Igbo nature, but because they are giving away their Igbo names, so they all bear Igbo names, and I don't know. If you bear Igbo name, you say you are not Igbo, then I don't know what you are doing with Igbo. So they are part of Igbo, and Igbos are also in other states. So, but they are living coexistent. The same thing. Some others say, like if you come to Enugu, there are people from other parts of the country that are not Igbos that are living in the northern part of Enugu. The same thing when you go to Benue, you have Igbo speaking part. Kogi you have. So Nigerians have always lived together. Mutual coexistence, and it has happening in the River State. And the Ikwere people have been governing, the Jaw people have not come out to complain since. The same thing now. So what is just happening now is some people who are trying, some unscrupulous elements who are just trying to cash into disagreement between two friends, between a godfather and a godson, between two friends, between two politicians. And they're just cashing in on it to find the embers of political, of clan discord, of ethnic discord. There is nothing. There's no division among them. The ordinary people are still mixing up with each other. They are still good to go. So it is when it comes to this that politicians start dividing up with our ethnic lines and religious lines. It's not real. It's just superficial. And the people of River State are not divided. They are together. And they have been like that for hundreds of years. Nothing is happening. These are just statements by politicians to make it look as if they want to pitch the people against each other. It's not true.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. We truly do appreciate your time, Doctor.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you.
All right, that's just about the time we have for our show today. I want to believe you enjoyed it just like we did right here in our studios. But please do well to visit us if you want to. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise Series 7. I am Henry Ikwibike.
And I'm Chuma Okohe.
On behalf of everyone right here in our studios, we'd love to say thank you so very much once more. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.